Marc Marquez finished behind Pedro Acosta at Mugello on Sunday, then stepped in front of the cameras and explained the whole thing away in one sentence. His bike, he said, is simply superior to Acosta's. That was the headline from a 9-time world champion after a race-long fight with the rider half the paddock thinks is coming for his throne. It sounded like a veteran swatting away a kid. Calm, a little cold, case closed. There was just one problem. Marc did not beat Acosta on Sunday. Acosta beat him. So why is the man who lost that duel the one acting like he won it? And what did Marc give away in the very next breath? This was not some forgettable midfield scrap. These two are about to share a wall. In 2027, Pedro Acosta leaves KTM and walks into the factory Ducati garage as Marc Marquez's teammate, on the same bike, with the same data, behind the same pitboard. So Mugello was not just a race. It was the first live audition for a rivalry that is about to move in next door to Marc. And the way he chose to frame that result tells you more than the result did. Because the moment you actually listen to what Marc said, the dismissal starts to come apart in his hands. Start with what happened on track. Mugello was Marc's first race back, and he admitted himself he was still far from his best. Bezzecchi won it for Aprilia in front of a home crowd. But the battle everyone left talking about was the one for fourth, the fight that would eventually drop both men to 6th and 7th. For most of the afternoon, Marquez and Acosta traded the same corners, neither man giving an inch. Here is the part that matters. Acosta was on the KTM. The bike, the entire paddock agrees, sits behind the Ducati. Marc was on the Ducati. The bike he himself just called superior to Acosta's KTM. On paper, it was not supposed to be a contest. Then, with 7 laps to go, Acosta forced a move through at turn 1 and made it stick, and Marc had no reply. Acosta 6th, Marquez 7th. The 22-year-old on the slower bike finished ahead of the returning champion on the faster one. And that result is the only reason Marc's explanation matters at all. Because afterward, in the media pen, both riders said a little more than they meant to. Listen to Acosta first. He was not behaving like a man who had lost anything. The guy doesn't give up, he said. I think it was a good battle. There were some really cool overtakes, so I hope the fans enjoyed it. But the praise was not the revealing part. The revealing part was what he admitted doing back there. He sat behind Marc on purpose. I was trying to focus on how he managed the tyre. Sit with that for a second. The younger rider, the one who finished ahead, spent most of the race tucked into Marc's slipstream taking notes. He studied how a champion nurses a tyre over a race distance, used it, then passed that champion and beat him. That is not a kid getting lucky on a hot lap. That is a rider quietly building a file on the exact man he is about to share a garage with. And he said it out loud, on camera, like it was nothing. Now Marc's answer. This is the line they replayed all night. I saw that my bike is superior to his. That's why I fought with him. And I'm always very honest. On the surface, it is pure veteran. Do not overrate the kid. The Ducati did the talking. But stop and actually hear it. Marc just lost a fight and explained it by saying his equipment was better. Follow it to the end. If your bike is superior and you still come home behind, the only thing left inside that gap is the rider. Marc did not mean to admit that. He admitted it anyway. And then he kept talking. He's a fantastic rider, and when he has a competitive bike, he'll definitely fight for the championship. That is the sentence he tossed off like a courtesy. And it is the most dangerous thing he said all day. Because Marc just named the single missing ingredient between Pedro Acosta and a title. A competitive bike. So here is the question worth holding on to. What exactly does Acosta get in 2027? The factory Ducati? Marc's bike? The machine he himself just called superior? In 2027, Acosta walks out of KTM and into the same box as Marc Marquez, on the equipment Marc named as the only reason he could even race him at Mugello. So when Marc said Acosta will fight for the championship the day he gets a competitive bike, he was not describing some distant maybe. He was describing his own teammate a few months from now on his own machine. This was never Marc Marquez putting a rookie in his place. This was Marc Marquez describing the precise moment his reign turns into a fair fight and selling it to you as a compliment. And here is the detail that should sting the most. None of this was forced on Marc. Ducati chose it. They already had the most complete rider of his generation locked down, and they still decided to put the sport's most dangerous young talent on the other side of his garage for 2027 and 2028. And here is the tell. Acosta admitted that during the race he was watching Marc, as he put it, to see if he had some tricks. The student was studying the master openly on camera. The man who finished ahead spent the race taking notes on the man whose garage he's about to take half of. Only one of them still needs the lesson. Think about what the dismissal is really protecting. As long as the bike is the difference, Marc stays the man, and the story stays simple. Marquez beats the kid because Ducati, but the instant they are on the same machine, that story is dead, and Marc knows the clock on it runs out in 2027. He did not shrink Acosta because Acosta is small. He shrank him because Acosta is the one variable he cannot outride forever. You do not spend your post-race interview managing the reputation of someone who does not scare you. The effort Marc put into making Mugello sound small is the exact size of how big he knows it really is. People wanted Sunday to be a coronation in reverse, a master toying with youth. It was the opposite of that. A returning Marc Marquez, on the best bike on the grid, got studied, passed and beaten by a rider on a worse one, then explained it all away by pointing straight at the one advantage he is months from handing over. He even had the easy excuse sitting right there, his first race back, still far from his best. He did not reach for it. He reached for the bike instead. The succession everyone keeps scheduling for 2027 did not start with a contract. It started Sunday, in a television pen, when Marc told the truth and disguised it as a put-down, and Acosta gave away the quiet part too. He said the championship needs more races like this one. Of course he does. Every single one is a free lesson on the man whose garage he's about to take half of. Make no mistake, Marc Marquez is still the best rider in the world today. But today is carrying a lot of weight in that sentence. He spent Mugello unable to beat Pedro Acosta even on better equipment, and accidentally proving that equipment might be the only thing he cannot fix about 2027. The throne is not being taken yet. It is being scouted. And on Sunday, the king handed his successor the tour. So Marc Marquez did not close the Acosta story at Mugello. He told you exactly where it splits back open. Do you think Marc still beats Acosta once they are on the same Ducati in 2027? Let us know in the comments below. And once you do that, make sure to click on the video appearing on your screen right now.